Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about what many of you guys have asked me recently. A lot of you guys sent in emails asking me if I thought that Gabby was in a relationship with a covert narcissist. And some of you asked what I thought about the body cam video. Now, I normally don't talk about these things. I normally don't speculate, but this was really heartbreaking because what I was thinking was how many people are in relationships still with people that could be toxic, not only toxic, dangerous, but they're not trusting their gut. So what happens a lot is people will think that they may be in a relationship with somebody toxic. They'll start looking up information. They'll fall on videos like mine and so many other people's, and they'll start to think that, wait a second, something's wrong. But then they wind up getting sucked back in, right? They wind up getting gaslit into believing that, it's them. So for that reason, I wanted to talk about this. And in reality, in hopes of reaching anyone that is still in a relationship that they are thinking is dangerous and abusive. My hope is that this information can somehow help you so that the things that are happening with so many people today can be avoided. With that in mind, I do want to make it known that I'm not diagnosing anybody. That's not my job. That's not my intent. I'm just speculating and kind of giving my opinion as to what could be happening, as well as what you can look for so that you can avoid this happening in your life. All right. With that in mind, going to that body cam video, here are some things that I noticed that you want to be aware of if you're in a relationship with somebody that does things like this. So the first thing that I noticed was the polarized emotional reactions of both of them. She was really distraught, scared. She was just trying to kind of curl herself up and protect herself, trying to make herself as small as possible. And he looked as if he was living a whole different reality. Whereas he was so calm, there wasn't an emotion, not even a frustration on him. In a relationship that's healthy, if you're going to be around people, and I'm not even talking about getting stopped by the cops, okay? I want to talk about what we can learn from this, okay? If you're in a relationship and you're around people and you start realizing that you guys are always on different emotional pages, for example, every time you go someplace and you're out with people, you're distraught and the other person is super calm. Why is this a red flag to watch for? Not only in their behavior, but in yours. Because this is a covert manipulative tactic of setting you up to look like you are the problem. And that's what happened in the case with Gabby. She looked like the abuser. She looked like the problem. And that's exactly what a covert manipulative person wants. They want to come across like they're so calm, they're so together, and you're so a mess. I knew one client that told me after she got out of the relationship with a toxic person, she said, one of our mutual friends said to me, he said, I always thought that you were the problem, like you were the one that was the difficult person. And she asked him, she was like, what made you think that? And he said, every time we would go out, he looked so happy and you looked so stressed and miserable. And it was at that moment that she realized how long he had been setting her up to look like the problem. Because what nobody was seeing was the verbal abuse that would take place right before they're going out in public. So she was so distraught over the fighting and the arguing, the spinning in circles. When they would get there, she would be a mess. And this was like a tranquilizer, an emotional tranquilizer for him. And his emotion was completely opposite. It's a huge, huge red flag. The second thing that I noticed in that body cam video was how she took all the blame. She was so ready to be like, it's all my fault. Now, in any fight, any discussion, there's always two people involved, right? There's always two. It takes two, they say, right? But she was so willing to completely 100% take all of the blame. And he was completely 100% willing to let her do that. It was, she took the wheel. she has a problem. I was trying to calm her down, making it completely 100% on her. And there are two reasons why somebody would take the complete blame. One of the reasons is because if they're in a relationship with somebody that's high on the scale of narcissism, and again, this is just a possibility, then they know that if the narcissist is made to look bad in front of others and their image is tarnished in some way publicly, they are the ones that will be punished for it. And so out of fear of the real abuser's reactions, they will take all of the blame. The second reason is because of reactive abuse. And this is something that you don't even realize you're getting sucked into, where the abuser is provoking you until you can't take it anymore. Then you explode, then they calm down because she is acting out of harmony with who she really is, and she's seeing herself react this way, and she's an honest person. Then oftentimes a victim will take that responsibility because they're being honest with themselves and they're seeing that they are acting in a way that's out of character. And actually, I'm going to throw in another reason why they can take all the blame is because that's what's been happening in the relationship. They've been gaslit so often to think that they're the ones that are the problem, that it's their fault all the time, that it almost becomes a habit. Anyone that's not high up on that scale of narcissism is going to recognize that they had a part too. They're going to be frustrated too. They're not going to be like happy. Just try to calm her. No, they're not going to be like that. That's not normal behavior. So again, the focus is on what we can learn from it and what we can help others that still may be in these relationships to learn. If you are always the one that's 100% taking all of the blame, you are always the one that's apologizing, everything is always your fault, 100%, and this person never does anything wrong, that is not healthy behavior. Okay, you need to start looking at and realizing that that is manipulation and that is toxic. Something that really just broke my heart in that body cam video was when she was talking about how he doesn't support her in what she's trying to do with her blog, and he doesn't support, he doesn't believe in her, and she's so exasperated that he doesn't believe in her. Now, this is something that we can easily overlook in abuse, okay? When I heard her say that and seeing her emotions behind that, what it made me think is that when somebody is with or in a relationship, whatever the relationship, where they're never validated, they're never supported, they're never encouraged, little by little, and this is the thing with covert abuse, it's not overnight. Little by little, you lose the ability to validate yourself. You don't even realize that you're chasing their validation as if it's impossible to believe in yourself unless they believe in you. That's part of the belief that they want you to have, that you can't believe in yourself unless they give their stamp of approval. So in a relationship, if anyone is in a toxic relationship where you feel like you need the other person to validate you in order for you to hold on to your reality, you are in a relationship with somebody that is invalidating you, and that's abuse. Invalidating a person is saying your perspective, your reality does not exist unless I say it does. Okay, and that has the ability to mentally and emotionally cause a lot of anguish in a person. Whereas when you're in a relationship, right, you could be in a relationship with a jerk, right? Every narcissist is a jerk, but not every jerk is a narcissist. And let's say the person just doesn't really believe in you, but they don't invalidate you the way a narcissist does, right? They're just a jerk, okay? Not that I'm minimizing that. So if that's the case, when they don't believe in you, it hurts. And you're going to be like, wow, that sucks. This person doesn't believe in me. But because they're not constantly invalidating your reality, you're still going to believe in yourself. You're going to be like, well, it sucks that they don't, but you know what? I know who I am and I know what I can do. But when you're in a relationship with somebody that is constantly minimizing your reality, spinning your reality, denying your reality, and somebody doesn't believe in you, that's like anguish because you've lost the ability to do that for yourself. It's something to look for in yourself in a relationship. Something that was just so wrong, I'll just put it that way, was when he was told that he is a victim of domestic abuse. His reaction was to laugh. If you're in a relationship with somebody and somebody tells you, you know, I think that you're the victim of domestic abuse, a man that's told that, right, that really is a victim of domestic abuse is going to be in shock. Very much like a woman that's been in a covert relationship that doesn't even realize she's been abused, and somebody says, do you realize this is abuse? And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, the light bulb goes off. The man would be in shock as well if he really was being abused, right? But he wouldn't laugh. A real victim wouldn't laugh. And a healthy person that knows that they had a part too wouldn't laugh either. They would again say something like, you know, actually we were both, you know, doing this or that, you know, it was both of us. But he just laughs and looks away. So what can we learn? What can anyone learn if they're still in a relationship? You have to understand that if you are in a relationship with somebody that's high on the scale of narcissism, there is nothing that brings them more joy and more power than fooling other people. They know they're the abuser. The covert abuser knows they're an abuser. Why do I say that? Okay, an overt abuser doesn't hide the abuse because to them, they think what they're doing is awesome. So they abuse publicly, and so they're easier to spot in that sense. The covert abuser knows it's abuse and knows it's wrong. And the reason I can say that is because the covert abuser changes in public. Who they are and how they really treat you behind closed doors is a totally different person. The only way they would be able to do that is if they knew that that behavior was wrong and unacceptable. Okay, so they know that they're the abuser, but to go somewhere and to convince someone else that you are the one and that they are the victim, they love that. I've had so many clients tell me that their own family members fell for the stories of the covert abuser, at least for a little while until they finally caught on, because the covert abuser is that good at hiding the abuse. And they actually get fuel from people looking at you negatively. And when they get fuel, narcissistic supply, they show up as their best self. And what I mean by that is they polish their image to look like, I'm so nice, I'm so amazing. And the more people they fool, and the more people that are looking at you negatively and at them positively, the easier it is for them to stay in that false self-image. Something else that wasn't mentioned in the body cam video, but was mentioned in other stories, was that the one friend she had where she lived, the one friend acknowledged that he was always trying to isolate her and trying to keep her from that one friend. So what can you learn? What can you learn if you're in this relationship? If you're with somebody that all of a sudden your whole friend group has changed, and you have to be careful because in the beginning, it may look like, oh, he wants to integrate you into his world. It may feel like he's just so into you and he just wants, you to be a part of his world. What you may not be realizing is that it's at the expense of your world and the people that really know you. You suddenly can't be around your friends. You're only around certain people. And it's usually the people that they have fooled. They're not people that you can open up to. So if your friends change and you don't have a close friend, I knew one client who told me, she was like, Michele, I finally went for therapy in my last year of marriage. And she said, the therapist asked me, when was the last time you had a close friend that you shared who you really are with? And in her case, I think she was married like 13, 14 years. And she thought about it. And she said it was at that moment that she realized that the whole length of her relationship, she didn't have one close friend They were always around people, but people that he deemed they could be around. And they weren't people she felt comfortable opening up to about what was going on behind closed doors. So again, you want to look, if you're with somebody that doesn't let you have your friends or tries to control who you're with, or you're no longer allowed to be around family anymore, that's a toxic relationship. And the last thing I'm going to mention, and again, this is for people that are still in relationships so that you can use this to stay grounded, okay, is the fact that she expressed fear of being left alone on the side of the road. Nobody should feel fear in a relationship. You shouldn't be afraid of the person getting angry. You shouldn't be afraid of what they might do to you. If you are afraid, that is a red flag. So I'm hoping that videos like this will help anyone that's in a relationship to act now. The sad reality is that these toxic relationships and these disastrous endings are happening more and more. I think it was maybe a year ago when a woman committed suicide, and for the first time, her partner was charged, even though it was suicide. He was charged because they realized that it was coercive abuse. His psychological abuse and manipulation pushed her to take her own life. And I have worked with so many people that have come so close to doing something like that because of a narcissistic relationship that they were in. Another one, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, was a woman that worked with Tina Swifton, who's the founder of One Mom's Battle. Her ex was high on the scale of narcissism, and she feared for her life. She was already remarried. Going to court and getting child support became such a nightmare. She felt her life was in danger. Cops didn't really believe it, but finally they grant her the restraining order, which is just a piece of paper. He goes to her house. He went and he shot her. I'm not trying to like dwell on the negative. I'm trying to wake people up, because I know what it's like to suspect and be like, wait, this is wrong. This is bad. This is not a healthy relationship. But then the person knows just how to spin you so that you lose focus on your reality. There comes a point where you really have to start letting go of what the other person thinks and their perception, and start really focusing within and asking yourself, what am I feeling? What is this doing to me? What do I think about what is going on? If you go to the person that's you're in the relationship with so that they can confirm and agree with you, it's not going to happen. Especially if you're in a relationship with somebody super high on the scale of narcissism. Somebody that's not will agree and be like, okay, yeah, we have a lot to work on. Somebody that's high on the scale will be like, no, you are the problem. Which reminds me, there was one thing that I didn't mention about the body cam video. The fact that he had scratches, right? And people can think that she was the aggressor. 2 reasons why somebody would do that. One is, who knows what he was doing? He had been physical with her in the past, so who knows if she was defending herself? That's one thing that could have been happening. Or the second thing is, she could have been falling victim to reactive abuse, where he is instigating and using the car, an enclosed space where you can't go anywhere, to emotionally torture her until she explodes. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with that have said that the car was the main place of abuse. No one was around. They could rile the person up. They could abuse psychologically, physically. No one could see anything. Then they get out and they're so calm, and you're such a mess. Okay, so again, I hope this information and the information that so many other people are putting out there can help anyone that's now in a relationship and wondering what they need to do. Hopefully this will motivate you to take action before it is too late. And again, I'm not trying to state that any one specific person is or has a personality disorder. I'm only talking about possibilities of what certain behaviors can be, and hoping that this can wake people up.